Hi, today I want to show you an example on how we are developing solutions to automate business processes where processing documents with artificial intelligence is a crucial part. The technology that is going to be part of this example that you're going to see is basically, of course, Microsoft Power Platform, where we will have an app and some flows, but more especially a technology that probably you haven't heard of and you're going to, well, want to know more about, which is called AgileXRM. My name is Andres Viarge, and I'm a Power Platform consultant whose professional satisfaction comes from hearing how our clients are using the solutions that we build as a crucial part of their business as usual operations. And well, without more ado, let's start with the example. I'm going to start with what I believe is the sexiest part of the solutions that we build, which is showing you this live process, business process, where we can see that right now we are waiting for the approver to approve the invoice, but we've come all the way from here waiting for the invoice to come from an email message, and then the AI processing, later the human review of the invoice, and now we are here waiting for the approver to check the invoice, uh, do the payment, make the payment, and then finally do the SharePoint archival so that the PDF from the invoice goes to the proper finance SharePoint site. Now, if you are asking yourself what this is, this PC diagram that you are seeing here live, this is exactly one of the great advantages of using AgileXRM. More of that later when I show you how we can build these diagrams that are going to actually affect the Power Platform, because in these boxes that you see here, we're actually interacting with the Power Platform from this BC diagram. And well, you can start thinking about the advantages. Imagine, for example, how you would model a very complex approval workflow where you have different stakeholders. And if you could see live at live where you are in the process, well, wouldn't be that helpful. But then let's rewind for a moment and start the process from scratch. What we are going to do is send an invoice via email, and then we are going to see the process from A to Z, how we process it with AI, and then we do all the stages till the approval phase. So this is an example of an invoice that we are going to process. The invoice is in Spanish, but it could be in any language, and we will see about that when we dive into how the AI model works here. But basically, it's an invoice containing some information on the supplier, the invoice details, the totals, and actually this invoice was created with AI to try not to complicate things further. So now I'm in my personal Gmail account and I'm about to send an invoice to these invoices dev, because we are in the development stage yet in this process. But this would be any invoice shared mailbox where your accountant team or your finance department is listening to. And here basically what we are doing is, well, putting some details and attaching the actual PDF. So I'm going to hit send, and we're also going to see how this works. Right, so the invoice has arrived and we are here in the queue items part of this model-driven application. In Power Platform, we have Exchange, so email synchronization out of the box, so just configuration. And what it means that we can configure it so that any email that comes to a specific shared mailbox automatically creates an item in a queue. What is a queue? Well, a queue, if you have used as a user any support ticketing system where you send an email or via form a support request, where is it going to land? That's going to land in a queue of tickets, support tickets, where a support team is going to be handling those. And while I'm working in a specific ticket, I don't want other people to duplicate work and work on the same stuff. That's why we have a queue where I get the item, I start working on it, and I release it when I'm done. And this is the same, we can model the same, which is very interesting for not support departments only, but also your finance department, your HR department, or whatever we want to model. So we go to the queue item here, and we see that this is basically an email. Because as I told you, you see here the body of the email, the attachment, where it came from, where it went, this automated mailbox. And here we can even reply, forward the email, do any thing related to an email that we would do in Outlook. Why? Because we have synchronization with Power Platform. And this is out of the box. It's just configuration, no programming involved. And what we are going to do now is classify the attachments that we find with this custom page. This is custom made, and what we do is we do a click here and we see the attached invoice. And what we are going to do now is, oops, let me move a little bit, classify the attachment. This is an invoice, but it could be any other document type that we're modeling in this process. Now, you will be probably saying, wouldn't we automatically classify this using AI? Well, we of course could, and probably I will show you that in further videos, but the example I'm showing you is based on a client development or a project for a client where they wanted to manually classify and also from the email itself classify the associated contract, the associated account. That's why I have here the account, but I'm not going to click because I want the AI process to automatically detect which account this is coming from. So I'm going to hit what are that? Save changes. Sorry, this is in Spanish because it was from a Spanish client. And well, now what's going to happen behind the scenes is that the invoice is going to be created with this document, and then the AI is going to do its job. Let me show you that. Exactly. Here we go. So the previous one, it's in the approval pending status. Ours is in the draft status. Why? Because it's still having to process it. It is in this stage, but if I refresh, probably it's exactly. It just finished the AI processing, and now human review. We are on this stage of the process, and actually, you can see already that supplier is selected, the external invoice code, and all this data is actually parsed from the invoice automatically. And you can see here in the right, this is called a timeline control out of the box coming from the Moldovan apps, where you see all the, well, first the email that came, that you can actually open the email from here, then the task that has been just created automatically, which is the human review task that I'm going to show you in a moment. But note that in this timeline control, we can also create any sort of notes or send emails from here actually related to this invoice, and it's going to be all attached to this record. Why is this important? Well, imagine that we want to, for example, let's put some priority into this invoice because it's from a supplier that we want to do things right with them for whatever reason. Well, we would do it here, adding notes to coordinate the finance department, or if we have different stakeholders during the process, to coordinate ourselves. Now you can see if we go to the view process part, and this comes again from AgileXRM, we are here. Basically, we have done all this path, AI processing, and now we are here in the human review task, right? I can go to the task via the queue items because it's being generated in the finance department queue, because who is going to be reviewing this invoice? Probably the finance department. Maybe if it's a different department, more administrative, well, we would send that task to them, and I can go to the task via here. You can hit and open task, or even I can do that from going to general and from here. And you're going to see something very interesting when I open the task. It's opening right now, and we see a form with just a dialog, and this also comes from this product AgileXRM, where I see the invoice here in the left. I can open it in a new window, and I see these input fields automatically populated with the data from the invoice that I could change, for example, if there was any error by the AI processing. In other videos of my channel, you'll see how I implement this with a Canvas app, but you'll see how this is much faster to do because the dialogues in AgileXRM are configured just with clicks. So let's hit submit. And what's going to happen? We go here. If I refresh, automatically, exactly, human review, this is done. Now we are in the approval stage, and we can actually see it from the process that we just did this, and we are now waiting for the approval. So let's do a deeper dive into the solution. And what I'm going to show you in a moment is basically how we build these VC diagrams using AgileXRM and model these forms to input the information using the dialogues function of AgileXRM. And last, we'll see how to, well, what's the AI builder model that we are using to ingest, to process documents, not only invoices, any type of document. Let's see about that. So I'm going to actually open Visio, and you see here, this is Microsoft Visio, and what we have is this AgileXRM plugin adding into Visio, where thanks to that, I have all these shapes, these boxes that come with this add-in, which are boxes, shapes that are going to interact with Dataverse, with the underlying platform in the Microsoft Power Platform. And here, for example, if I just create an entity just to see, to show you how this works, I just drag this shape into the part of the process that I want to drag it to. And here I would, let me move a little bit here. Exactly. Here, what I do is basically configure different aspects, different parts of this shape. Each shape has its own configuration. And what we do here, for example, in the entity specification, we say, okay, what record we are going to create from what table, I mean. And we can select here the different tables available in this environment. And here we specify the different fields. For example, let's say the name, and the name could be anything that we hard code here, like this, hello, or adding some variables from the process. So anything that we do during the process is going to be stored so that we can use it in any of the shapes. Okay, let me delete this shape over here. Whoops. And well, of course, you can connect them in any way. And let's go, for example, to see how the human review task, this task where we input the data that has been processed by the AI and we want to review it by a human. Here we can, what we are doing is creating a task. Tasks come from Power Platform. They are an out-of-the-box table available for you that model any task that you do. So you are going to have out of the box who is assigned the task to the details of the task. And what we are doing with AgileXRM is injecting a form, a dialogue that we are going to see in a moment. Wait for it. It's opening the other screen. Here we go. And you see here where we model, well, this was a PDF, and here are all the fields that we wanted to check in the form. And this is not a Canvas app. This is a what AgileXRM Dialogues provided you with to model forms that can interact with the user in different ways. For example, if you click here, then you can set rules like any form to, for example, display a different field or make this other field mandatory and change screens based on the inputs from the user. And this is where you can, for example, add more controls like an input for a date or a number or whatever it is. And you see that, well, it's not pixel perfect like Canvas apps are, but here's the deal. What we are doing here with these forms, with these dialogues, is have a very quick way to interact with the user, to submit information, submit data. This is a form in the end. We are not building a pixel perfect application. If we want a pixel perfect application made with low code, we have Canvas apps for that. But here at AgileXRM is providing us with ways to create dialogues that interact with the user in a very quick and robust fashion. Now let's go to what probably you were waiting for, which is the AI processing with Power Automate in this case, because what we are using is one of the newest AI builder functionalities, with this GPT prompt, running a GPT prompt. Here we go. And what we are doing is we have modeled a generative AI model that comes with Power Platform, so we don't have to program anything at all. And these models, the most interesting thing is that they are solution aware, meaning that this model is going to be stored in our solution package. And when we deploy to test and production, this model is going to come with us, meaning that application lifecycle management is already solved. Now, what we have here is we are inputting as data the email ID, because we have this email Power Platform synchronization, exchange synchronization, and that means that the email is also stored in Dataverse. So if we give the identification of the email to the AI model, and we'll see how to do that in a moment, well, we are giving that as further context, for example, to obtain more information from the body of the email, so that the AI model can infer more information that may be useful for the invoice processing process. And here, of course, we have to attach the document. And now let's see how to build the prompt. The prompt maybe in any language. It's not limited to English. You can write here, just like if you were interacting with ChatGPT or with Copilot directly, in your own language or mixing languages, even if that makes any sense. And basically, what you do here is specify what you want the model to do. Bring in the invoice. Please give it in me in this JSON format, so then I can use it for my own purposes in the way I want. If you don't find any information, please put a null. Here you can say some rules, right? In the rules you say, okay, if you don't find a piece of data, assign null value for strings and 0 for numbers, for example, and because that will help in the processing. And then, for example, if the provider cannot be my company, for example, right? And then additional properties, here's where you say, okay, please find the email in the email table in DataRuns using the email ID that I'm providing. Also, try to look the supplier from the account table, looking specifically at the account name, the address, and the VAT code that should come from the invoice. And here you attach the email ID and the document, which comes from the flow as parameters. And then this is going to use the GPT-4o model that allows you to process the document that you are attaching along with the prompt. Thank you for reaching till the end. It really means a lot. And please hit the like and subscribe button so that you can help me grow the channel further. Now, as proper conclusions for this video, please don't just get over this video thinking, okay, we did some document processing with AI for invoices. It could be any type of document using these prompts. Contracts, purchase orders, we're actually doing that for some of our clients. What I really want you to leave the video with is with the understanding that we need more than just AI or these fancy functionalities that Microsoft is bringing to the table to drive our business processes. Because whether we use AI or not in our processes, we need to model them and draw them and drive them in a deterministic manner. Because I'm starting to see some of the advancements on AI and really, I mean, document processing now and other stuff, it's becoming more available to us as developers, and that means for your business. And in the end, what Microsoft is trying to do is try to democratize AI a lot, and it's really doing a great job. However, when we have to drive business processes in a deterministic manner, that's where I'm not so confident of what we are seeing in the market. And that's why I'm recommending you this product, AgileXRM. I'm using it in several projects now because it is the only thing that after more than 8 years working as a Power Platform consultant, it's the only product, the only thing that I'm actually seeing that interacts with the Power Platform. It's robust enough, it's enterprise grade, and actually allows you to draw your business processes and allow you to have systems that behave in a deterministic manner. They behave in the same way every time. And you can specify that, change it, or do whatever with or without AI. But you have a system that works. You can see it live because it's going to help your users a lot. And well, that's with those dialogues what Agile XRM brings to you in a nutshell. There's a lot more to it, but just live with that idea, and we'll see each other in further videos talking about this product and more Power Platform topics. Thank you and bye.